So for a lot of you, this will be new material. If it is not new material, then take the chance to refresh your knowledge, okay? So in today's lesson, you will learn about the different parts of speech. You will get a recap of the English tenses. You will explore auxiliary verbs. You will gain confidence using questions and negatives. And you will hone your spoken English, where we will look at sounding polite. Afterwards, we will have a summary, a look ahead to the next lesson, and a question and answers round. So I always leave about 10 minutes at the end to try and answer any questions that were not answered throughout the webinar. So guys, why learn English? So why are you all here? Why learn English? Well, I'm sure most of you have tried to learn English before, but you obviously weren't happy with the results if you are here now. And I just want to say, if you're not going to commit to this, then you will not succeed. Learning a language is not easy. It takes constant practice. You need to immerse yourself in it. And if you do not stick with me throughout the 4 weeks, you risk never reaching that level of fluency you desire, okay? Most successful people in the English-speaking world have mastered their field in English after building the base in their native language. So you could have any amount of degrees in your native language, but to really be successful, I think you know that you need to master it in English also. So let's have a look. Why? Why learn English? Well, let's look at some people here. Does anyone know who this man is? I'm sure lots of people recognize him. He's a very, very famous person. And it is, of course, yes. Nala says it's not Mark, is it? No, it is not me, Nala. That is not me. It is, of course, Elzbieta. It is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, exactly, Bilal. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is, of course, a former Mr. Olympia, a film star, and a former governor of California. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is from Austria. His mother tongue is German. He moved to America with very little English, almost no English. But he was quoted as saying this: "To make it in business and Hollywood, I knew I had to take English lessons, speech lessons, anything to improve my chances of success." And that's what all of you are here for, okay? So Arnold has said that being clear about why he was learning English helped him to focus on his goals. He immersed himself in the language, and he recognized that if he wanted to learn English well, he had to be surrounded by as much English as possible. He took English classes in order to be able to read newspapers and magazines, and to be able to take classes in other subjects. So he took other subjects through English. And that is what you guys need to realize. Now, what about this man here? Now, you probably will not know him, but this is Jan Koum, and he is the founder of WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp is, of course, the most used social media platform on the planet. And this guy, Jan Koum, was the founder of it. He was born in Ukraine, and Russian is his mother tongue. He learned English, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, through immersion in the language, surrounding himself with the language, listening to it, speaking it, learning it. And a little fact about him is that he got turned down for a job in Facebook, okay? Exactly, Atyaf. The motive is important. So these are people who realized they needed to learn English to achieve their goals. They were focused and committed to this, and all of you need to be also. But I am going to help you guys. That's the best thing. I am here to help you. So let's get started with the content of tonight's lesson, where first we are going to look at the parts of speech. So let's get back to basics and let's look at the different parts of speech. So first up, we have nouns. Now, what are nouns? They are used to refer to people, places, things, or ideas. For example, a person, Roy Keane, who used to play for Ireland. Okay, you will notice a lot of Irish references throughout my webinars because, well, we're an Irish company. We are very proud to be Irish, and I am very proud to be Irish. Okay, so a person, Roy Keane, a place, Dublin, a thing, we've got a house, or an idea, happiness. These are all nouns. Brett says, go Ireland. Thank you, Brett. Now, adjectives are used to describe or modify a noun. For example, good, beautiful, Irish, my, etc. So, my house is big. Big is an adjective. Dublin is beautiful. Okay, beautiful is an adjective. It's describing a noun. Now, what about verbs? These are used, of course, to show an action or a state of being. So verbs are the action words. For example, go, write, drive, be, listen, talk, teach, learn. These are all verbs. They're the action words. Then we have adverbs. And these describe or modify a verb most of the time, but they can also describe an adjective or another adverb. And adverbs usually end in ly. So like quickly, extremely, carefully, very, etc. Now, we have more parts of speech, and these ones are a little less common. So we've got pronouns, and these are used in place of a noun. For example, I, you, it, they, etc. So for example, you could say, the children go to school every day, or you could replace the children with they. They go to school every day. We use them in place of nouns. Then we've got prepositions, and these are placed before nouns to show where, when, how, or why. So they give a relationship. For example, in, after, by, for, etc. So they show where it is, in, they can show when, before, or after. So these are all prepositions. Next up, we've got conjunctions, and these are used to join sentences, guys. So they can join sentences, clauses, or words. And examples of these, and, but, while, because. So you can see how they would join sentences or join clauses. So, I am taking an English course, and Mark is an excellent educator. So you're joining two different sentences simply by using a conjunction, and of course that was a brilliant example because it's completely true. Now, finally, we have got interjections, and these are used to show surprise or emotion, okay? So these are only used in spoken English. We would rarely use these in written English. And examples of these, oh, wow, oops, good Lord, and things like that, expressions like that. They are called interjections. They show surprise or emotion. Like, wow, look at all the different countries that my students are from. Okay, it's showing surprise or it's showing emotion. Just like, ouch, that's an interjection if you're in pain. Now, let's see it all in action. So, look at this sentence. Wow, your friend speaks English fluently. Now, look at each different word in that sentence. And I want you all to think to yourself, what type of word each word in that sentence is. Which part of speech is each word in that sentence? Now, we all know wow is an interjection, but let's look at the rest. We've got, wow, your friend speaks English fluently. Your is, of course, a possessive adjective. Okay, so my, your, his, her, they are what we call possessive adjectives because they are still describing the noun, which is friend. Then our action word, speaks, English, and our adverb, fluently. Okay, that ly always tells us it's an adverb. Now, a question for all of you to make sure that you're keeping up with me. So, which of the following can be both a noun and an adjective? Big, intelligence, English, Harvard University, or teach? So which of these words can be used as both a noun or an adjective? So get your answers into the chat box and let's see what we think. Okay, brilliant. Ramona, Evelyn, Salma, Lama, Randa, Widat, that's brilliant. Malak, exactly. The correct answer is English. It can be used as an adjective, meaning someone or something from England. So for example, an English tea. So I like to drink English tea. It's an adjective, something from England. Or we can use it as a noun, meaning the language or people of England. I speak English. You are learning English, okay, the noun. So it can be used as an adjective and a noun. So well done to all of you who got that correct. Cheju, Mohammed, Wayne, very, very good. It's great to see that you're all so interactive already. And Mila, yes, I can see you there too. Zaid, Angie, all of you. There's too many of you to name, okay? Now, next up, we're going to look at a recap of the tenses. Now, as we all know, speaking in the correct tense can be the most difficult thing about learning a language. And English is no different with the amount of tenses that are used. So we really do have a lot of tenses in the English language. But guys, don't panic. We will cover throughout the course all of the tenses that we have in English. But for now, we are going to have a quick look at all of the tenses which we use in English just to give you an idea. So, as we all know, we have the past, the present, and the future. But is there only 3 tenses? Do we only use 3 tenses in English? No, unfortunately, we do not. Exactly. It would be very, very easy if we did, but we do not. And I can see everyone writing in how many tenses we do use. So each of these has 4 different variations. There is the simple, the continuous, the perfect, and the perfect continuous. So there are 12 tenses overall. Exactly, Evelyn and Shireen, Ramona. Yeah, lots of people who said there are 12. There are 12 tenses we use overall. And there are actually some others, but these are the main ones. And just to give you an idea of how we can have 12 different tenses, look at this simple phrase. Present simple, He walks, okay? Very simple. We have our subject, our pronoun, he, and then our verb, walks. Now, let's bring this through all 12 tenses. He is walking. He has walked. He has been walking. They are your 4 present tenses. Now let's look at the past. He walked. He was walking. He had walked. He had been walking. And now let's look at the future. He will walk. He will be walking. He will have walked. He will have been walking. So that is showing you a quick example of all 12 tenses. But like I said, guys, do not worry. We will cover most of these throughout the course. So a lot of this might be new to all of you. Do not worry. We are going to build up and learn all of these throughout the 4 weeks. But can anyone answer this question for me? Which of the following is using a past tense? She has finished her dinner. She will have finished her dinner by 9 p.m. She has dinner every day. She had finished her dinner when the phone rang. So which of these sentences is using a past tense? Who can tell me? Brilliant work, Mahmoud, Saud, Leszek, Marian. I apologize if I'm pronouncing anyone's name wrong. Islam, James, Asma, fantastic work, guys. Randa, excellent. Ahmed, this is not an easy question, so well done to everyone who got that correct. Because the first one there is the present perfect. Number 2 is the future perfect. Number 3 is the present simple. And number 4 is the past perfect. So Mati and Mani, brilliant work. Sarah Wafa, Tolwetlu, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. So brilliant work, everyone. It's great to see what good a level you are all at. If you got that one wrong, don't worry, guys. That was a difficult question. By the end of these 4 weeks, you will know that answer. Now, next up, we are going to look at auxiliary verbs. So once you have your tense, then we need to know about auxiliary verbs. So let's look at this conversation. I am learning so much from Mark. Oh, really? I have not started yet. Okay. Now, what are the auxiliary verbs being used here? There you go. I am learning so much from Mark. Or, I have not started yet. Now, these are auxiliary verbs, meaning the main verb here is learn. The main verb here is start. Auxiliary verbs are helping verbs, you might know them as. So, these verbs modify other verbs in a full phrase. For example, is going, has gone, or did go. So let's look at the 3 different auxiliary verbs that we use. We have to be, to have, and to do. So let's start with the first one, to be. And this is used with the continuous tenses. So it all ties in together. When we learn about the tenses, we will learn about the auxiliary verbs. But remember, this lesson is just introducing us to all of the terminology. So, to be is used with continuous tenses. For example, the students are learning English with Mark. He was working hard last month. So we know the verb to be is am, are, is, or in the past was and were. Then we have the verb have. And this is used with perfect tenses. Okay, so for example, I've completed the exam. It has started raining. Okay, a very simple sentence that we use about the weather. It has started raining. And finally, we have the auxiliary verb to do. And this is used for negatives, questions, and emphasis, but only when there is no other auxiliary present. So we only use do as an auxiliary verb if it does not contain the auxiliary verb to be or to have. If there's no auxiliary verb, then we use it for negatives, questions, and emphasis. For example, cats do not chase dogs. Did you learn from Mark's class? Of course you all did. What am I saying? Of course you all learned from Mark's class. He's a fantastic teacher. Or emphasis. Please stop asking, I do love you. Okay, so that's how we would use it for emphasis. Please stop asking, I do love you. Of course I do. So there are the three ways we would use the auxiliary verb do. Now, another question for you all. Which of these sentences does not contain both an action and an auxiliary verb? They have finished their dinner. They do their homework every night. They were playing football. They will be doing a test tomorrow. So which one of these sentences is not using an auxiliary verb, guys? What do we think? And I can see Samantha straight in with the correct answer. Irma, Hayron, Mohammed, Ashjan, Akmel, Mahmoud. Brilliant. Moshera, brilliant. Everyone. It is number 2. Very, very good. Brilliant work, all of you. So look, number 1, we have finished, the auxiliary verb have. Number 3, were playing. We have the auxiliary verb to be, there. Then we've got be doing. That's our auxiliary verb, to be. So it is, of course, number 2, where we only have the verb do, but it's not an auxiliary, it's our action verb, okay? So well done to everyone who got that question correct. Again, if you got it wrong, do not worry. We will learn this throughout the 4 weeks. Now, auxiliary verbs lead us nicely into our next section, negatives and questions. So, let's look at this little interaction. Do you like to play tennis? No, I don't like tennis. So just look at how these sentences are formed. Do you like to play tennis? No, I don't like tennis. What do you like? I like soccer, of course. So he's holding a soccer ball, so of course he likes soccer. Now, let's look a bit more into this, and we will start with negatives. So, we form a negative sentence by adding the word not after the auxiliary verb. So, after the auxiliary verb, we add not. So, once we know the auxiliary verbs, then we can work with negatives. So, we have our 3 auxiliary verbs. Let's look at each one separately. And we will start with do. Do not, which can be contracted to don't. Does not for the third person. So he, she, it is the third person. And that, of course, takes an S or an ES. So does not can contract to doesn't. Or we have the past tense, did not, and that contracts to didn't. Now, what about the verb to be? Very simple. Am not, and it's very good to point out that that cannot be contracted. we do not say amn't. You can say, I am not attending the webinar tonight because I am sick. You cannot say, I amn't attending the webinar tonight. We never say amn't, okay? It's a big mistake people always make. Then we've got is not, are not, and of course these can all be contracted. And then in the past we have was not or were not, depending on the pronoun used. And finally with have not or haven't, has not or hasn't, and in the past had not or hadn't. So that is how to make a negative with all three auxiliary verbs. But what about if we're talking about the future or other modals? Okay, muat, we do not use ain't. Okay, I don't care if you heard it on television or where you have heard ain't being used, but that is a very American colloquial saying that we do not use. Okay, you shouldn't use ain't. It's not correct English. So when we're talking about the future and we want to make a negative, we simply just add not, will not, and that can be changed to won't. With the modals, it can vary. Cannot, should not, may not, might not, etc. And we will look at those more in lesson 5. So that was negatives, but what about questions, guys? So we form a question by beginning the sentence with an auxiliary verb. So we begin the sentence with an auxiliary verb to make it a question. And we have different types of questions. So let's look at the yes/no question first. Am I Irish? Very simple. Answer the question for me, guys. Am I Irish? Get typing into your chat boxes. Exactly. Samaya says yes. Exactly. It is a yes or no question. There are two answers. If we begin a question with the auxiliary verb, then it means that there are only two answers, yes or no. Are you Irish? No or yes. We do have some Irish students on the webinar. Is it cold outside? Yes or no. Do you drive? Did you learn from the lesson? Of course, yes. The answer to that can only be yes. Did you learn from the lesson? Of course you did. So these are all yes or no questions. If we begin a question with the auxiliary verb, then it is a yes or no question. The other types of questions we have are open. And open questions always begin with a question word. Now, we all know the question words. They usually begin with W. Where, when, who, what, why, which, whose. And then we've also got how much, how often, how old, etc. Okay? Now, each of these question words relates to a certain topic. If you use these words, you are asking for one specific thing. So, if I ask a question beginning with where, what is the answer going to be? What am I asking about? If I start a question with where, exactly, Ramya and Mani, everyone writing it in, I am asking about a place. So where is to do with a place. Then when is to do with time. When does the webinar start? Who is asking about a person? Who is your educator? Mark. Mark is your educator, and he's a great educator. What asks about a specific thing. Exactly, Sharif. So what is usually followed by a verb or a noun to specify the question? So for example, what age are you? What are you doing? Okay, what car do you drive? So what is asking about a specific thing. Then we've got why, which asks for a reason. Which is used when we have a choice. So if you have a choice of 10 cars, 10 different cars, you can say, which car are you going to choose? So we use which when there's a choice. And then we use whose for a possession. So for example, whose lesson is this? It is Mark's lesson. Whose lesson is this? When you're asking about a possession. And the pronunciation of that is whose. Whose. Okay, so some people pronounce that wrong. Then we've got how. And how is the manner, how something is done. But remember that how can be followed by many adjectives. How big, how small. So how big is your house? How tall are you? How fast is your car? So if you follow how with an adjective, you can ask many different things. How much means an amount or a number, okay? So how much or how many? It means a number or an amount. Or exactly, a cost, Mahmoud. How often is a frequency? How often do you take English lessons? Twice a week. I take lessons twice a week with Shaw Academy. How often do you study English? And then how old is, of course, age. How old are you? I am whatever age. Okay? So let's look at some further examples. When does the train leave? That is asking about a time. When does the train leave? The train leaves at 6 p.m. Who is your favorite football team? Now, a team can, of course, be collected as a group of people. So we can say who. Who is your favorite football team? You could also ask that question with what. What is your favorite football team? Lots of people are saying lots of people are saying Real Madrid. Okay, it's good to see a lot of Madrid supporters. I am an Arsenal fan. Before anyone asks, I support Arsenal, and I don't want to hear any more about it for the next 4 weeks. Okay? So, who is your favorite football team? Where are you from? Okay, a simple question, and it's asking about a place. Where am I from? I am from Dublin, Ireland. Where are you all from? So why don't you guys tell me? Where are you all from? Type into your question boxes and we'll see. So we've got Mahmoud from Egypt, guys from Iraq, Sharuk, Sharif, Amira from Egypt. Well, lots of Egyptians. We've Romania, Tunisia, Finland. I was only in Finland last month. That's excellent. Yemen, Hungary, Maldives, South Africa, Poland, Saudi Arabia. I taught there for 2 years. Nigeria, Palestine, United Arab Emirates. God, we have people from all over. Qatar, Jordan, Philippines, Iran, Dublin, Anya O'Reilly. Hello, Anya O'Reilly. Okay, so we have people from all over the world. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And a why question. Why are you learning English? So that is asking about a reason, the reason. And all of you should know why you are learning English, so you can focus on that goal. So guys, a difficult question for you all. This is not an easy question. Take a look at the following questions. Does he play football every weekend? What does he play every weekend? How often does he play football? Now, for which of these questions could we not use the following answer? He plays football every weekend. So, this is our answer. Which of these questions cannot give this answer? So what do you guys think? Which of the questions cannot give that answer? And I see a lot of correct answers coming in. Excellent work, Nino, Abdullah, Amira, Samar, Irma. This is a very difficult question. Christoph, Saud, Lama, brilliant work. Adeline, Hadil. It is, of course, number 1. And what is the reason for that? Does he play football every weekend? It begins with an auxiliary verb, meaning it is a yes or no question. The answer to this question must be yes or no, okay? So it cannot produce this answer. We could say, yes, he plays football every weekend, but we cannot produce this answer. So very, very, very well done to everyone who got that correct, because that is not an easy question. Now guys, we're going to move on to the last section of today's webinar, where we are going to improve your spoken English. So it's what everyone came here for. And in today's lesson, we're going to focus on sounding polite, okay? Answering questions and sounding polite. So let's have a look at this. This man says, did you have a good day at work? And the lady says, no. Now, how does that sound to you? Does that sound a little rude? Did you have a good day at work? No. Exactly, Amira. It's not a polite answer. So, when we give short answers in English conversation, it can sound impolite to reply with just yes or no. So this word here, impolite, is the opposite of polite, okay? So polite means like nice, and impolite means rude, okay? So in English conversation, it can sound impolite to reply with just yes or no. Now, let's look at the second lady. Did you have a good day at work? No, I didn't. So that sounds a little better, doesn't it? It does sound a little better. So what has lady 2 done? She has added in the auxiliary verb. So we use auxiliaries with short answers to make them more polite. For example, yes, I did, instead of just saying yes. Yes, I did, thanks. Or a bit more conversational, yeah, I did. Okay, so that would be a bit more conversational. Yeah, instead of yes. Now, can we expand on that any more? Well, let's look at lady number 3. Did you have a good day at work? No, I didn't. It was awful. I'm so glad to be finished. Now, that is very polite. She has continued on the conversation. So what has she done? She has not only added an auxiliary verb, but she has added more information. So it's even better to use more information. For example, did you have a good day at work? Yes, I did. It was great. Yes, I did. I got so much work done. Yeah, it was brilliant. Training is so helpful. Okay, so there's no need to give lots and lots of information, but very simply saying as much as it was great or it was awful. Yes, I did have a good day. It was great. Okay, So they make your English sound more polite. Now, it's different in all different languages, and that is why it's something that is difficult for non-native speakers to learn. So it's very good to try and train yourself to use these, okay? So let's look at just a few more examples. So, do you like football? Yes, I do. I support Arsenal. Okay, so obviously I wrote this because I support Arsenal. So, do you like football? Yes, I do. I support Arsenal. Or you could say, yes, I do. I love it. I love football. Or no, I don't. I hate football. Okay, so lots of different answers you can give. Is it time for a break? Yes, it is. Thank goodness. Okay? Thank goodness is an interjection there. Thank goodness. It means thank the Lord. Thank God. Thank goodness. Okay? So yes, it is time for a break. Are you doing anything tonight? No, I'm not. Do you want to go for a coffee? Okay, so of course, that's being very polite. That's asking someone else, do they have plans? So, are you doing anything tonight? No, I'm not. Do you want to go for a coffee? You could say, yes, I am. I'm going out to dinner with my family. Okay, so you can of course say anything. Have you seen my mobile phone? No, I haven't. Did you lose it again? Okay, so in this case, he's keeping the conversation going. So, have you seen my mobile phone anywhere? That is a very useful phrase for everyone to learn because I know I'm always losing my mobile phone. So, no, I haven't. Did you lose it again? So they are just some examples of how to answer questions and sound polite. So what I want you guys to do is practice, practice, practice. You are not only learning English for 2 hours a week. You are learning English for as much time as you dedicate to it. So what I want you to do is practice what you have learned in tonight's webinar. I want you to try and speak to 5 different people using the English you have learned today. So maybe it's answering a question, maybe it's using a negative, maybe it's using an auxiliary verb. But guys, remember to be polite and of course try to enjoy yourself, guys. Try to enjoy yourself. The more you can practice, the better. Okay?